I stand with Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders who stop Asian hate. There's been a rise in Asian hate since the start of COVID. 6 Asian women were murdered in Atlanta on March 18th, and it was a hate crime. Please check my description for links to donate and educate yourself on Asian hate. I'm also going to leave down below a documentary by Eugene Lee Yang, who is one of the Try Guys on YouTube. It is an hour and some minutes long. Take an hour and some minutes to watch it. It is really good and educational. And I'll also leave a podcast that he moderated with Asian women. It was fantastic. I thought it was really good, and I suggest to go and watch it or listen to it. I'll see if there's a transcript as well. I'm also going to leave down below a fantastic video made by a Japanese creator, Anna Akana. I love her channel, and she did a great video, and I suggest to go and watch it and check it out before this video starts. So pause my video. I didn't want to post this video without talking about this because it's a very important topic. So please go down to my description, add these resources to your bookmarks or add them to your watch later. They are very important, and we need to stop Asian hate. That was a hate crime, and this needs to stop. What's up, friends? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be reading the most popular books in my state. I've had this idea since last year around this time. I was waiting for the train in the city and I randomly got this idea and started looking up what the most popular books in my state were. So I have been holding off on this video for quite a while. There are many articles that list the most popular books in each state. I'm not sure how accurate they are. Most of the lists that I've found just have the books that are set in each state, so I'm not sure how accurate the lists are, with the exception of a few articles that have a map graphic, which I assume was a survey. So I'm going to tell you the 3 books I'll be reading, and I'm also going to be taking some Instagram pictures to have my followers guess what the theme is. So if you do want to be involved in these kind of videos, follow me on Instagram if you haven't. So the 3 books I'll be reading are The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, Fun Home by Alison Bechdel, and Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid. The Lovely Bones I read a lot in my high school years. It was a very popular Pennsylvania book. I think it's set in Pittsburgh. And it is a gruesome book. It is about a young girl who was murdered, and it is her being in the afterlife and following the events of her death. So the last time I read it was probably like 2010, so it has been a while since I've read it, and I'm interested to see how I feel about it now. There's also a movie. I just remember it being really popular. I'm pretty sure I did read it for a required read. In 10th grade, we had sustained silent reading where you just read for like the beginning of class, and my teacher would let us pick books from the library. That's where I found John Green, and I did read The Lovely Bones because it was there. I don't think I ever finished it. I was very much a reader that just didn't finish things. I was really not a big reader in high school. I really didn't become a big reader until college. It is on so many lists. Like the majority of lists that I found have The Lovely Bones on it, including this map. It is the most popular book in Pennsylvania from 2018, and an article from 2020 also listed it, so it's still popular. And I'm interested to read it to see how I think of it now. As for Fun Home, I actually read a part of it for an LGBTQ plus history class that I took in college, and we just read LGBT like poems and like excerpts from novels, and it was one of my favorite classes in college. So I never got to read the full thing. This was recommended on Book Riot, and I will be starting out the video with this book. I have it available on Hoopla, and Such a Fun Age was recommended on one list, and I got this for Christmas and have been waiting to read it for this video. So I'm going to start off the video with Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. This was recommended by Book Riot in 2018, and the author of the article is Susie Duman. Duman says, this graphic memoir by cartoonist Alison Bechdel tells of her growing up in Lock Haven, Pennsylvania, her struggle coming out and the events leading up to and following her father's suicide. It's a haunting and emotional tale told in a memorable format, later turned into a Tony-winning musical. I didn't know it was a musical. I feel like maybe I did know, but totally forgot that information. And if I could watch it, that would be amazing. I remember really enjoying the part that I read. I remember having a great discussion about it in class, and I had to do a presentation and I actually picked her, and I really enjoyed what I read of it, and it was a heartbreaking story, but I have heard nothing but good things about it, and I'm going to get right into it, and I will update you once I have some thoughts. Hello, I finished Fun Home by Alison Bechdel, and here are my thoughts. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was good. I like graphic memoirs, and I like learning about her life. This is about her figuring out her sexuality, but it's also about her finding out that her dad was gay, or of some of that nature. I personally don't think he was gay. I think that this was very much a trans realization. She was born in the 60s, so I think she just didn't have the language. There were so many instances where she talks about her dad being gay and him trying on women's clothes, about her feeling uncomfortable in her body, and especially about puberty. And every time she talked about being gay, I was so confused because I was like, you're trans, like I don't understand. And I hope that maybe one day she gets that realization. There's a lot of older AFAB people from that time that feel like they shouldn't transition and it is pointless, so I wonder if that's how she's feeling. So it just feels like she erases transness in general, so I don't know what that's about, but it just felt more like a trans realization than her realizing she's a lesbian, because I had saw so many signs. So not sure what's happening there, but I did enjoy it. The other problem was just that since she was born in the 60s, there's some language that could have been edited. She uses the word colored to refer to black people when she could just say black. So that was another thing that I was just kind of like, but I think it was good. I enjoyed it. She does tie in her dad's love of classic literature. I really liked how she compared Odysseus to her own coming of age story. But I don't know if I'm going to watch the musical. It just feels too personal. He did have relationships with men while he was married to her mother, so there is a possibility of him being gay, but he's never outright said it. Just that he can't consent to it, and that she has a musical about it feels a little weird to me. But I liked the memoir. It was good, and I would recommend it, but just look out for a couple of things, and I will have the trigger warnings down below. Now I'm reading The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. I started it at midnight, and I remember some of what I've read of it as I'm remembering. I watched the movie a lot, and it was talked about a lot in high school because it's set in PA. It is about a 14-year-old girl, Susie, who is ARD, and she is also murdered by a neighbor, and it's about the investigation. It just screams white privilege. It is set in the 70s, and then you see her perspective of her in her heaven. So it does talk about that. I went to a Catholic school for 1st to 9th grade, so I read it in 9th grade. Everybody was talking about it, and it's still relevant. Women are not safe anywhere throughout the world, and it just shows that even from a young age they are not safe at all, and how we need to be doing better. So I'm interested to read more of it. So I'm going to spend the rest of the day reading The Lovely Bones, and I'm going to hop onto my laptop because I want to take some BuzzFeed quizzes that guess your state based on your answers. So let's go and do that. So it would not be my video if I didn't turn off the audio, so I'm going to walk you through me taking BuzzFeed quizzes to see if I actually know my state. This is called Take This Quiz and we'll tell you what state you actually belong in. The first question is, which of these is your favorite fast food chain? Out of these, I haven't had a lot. Chick-fil-A, I don't think I've had for like 3 years because they donate to anti-LGBT organizations and we don't like them. So this one I know I picked Dunkin' Donuts because that is like a PA staple, and that is the only one I could really think of and the one that I've had the most of. The next question is, which of these shows appeals to you the most? And I ended up picking It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia mainly just to pick Philly, but I also love Gilmore Girls. But I have seen Always Sunny. It's kind of like a rite of passage to be a Philadelphian. Next is Choose a Baby, and that is so weird. What does that have to do with my state? I don't know, but I just ended up picking the baby that was reading because this is a reading channel. Next is, which animal best represents you? And I had a hard time with this because I was like, what? But I do end up picking the bear. No, I wanted to pick the bear, and I think I actually end up going with the squirrel just because squirrels are seen in Pennsylvania. Like, I don't really know what my logic was, but I was just trying to get my state. Next is, what quality are you most attracted to in a partner? And I was so confused about this too because why does this have to do with my state? But I end up picking thoughtful because I'm a thoughtful person. I would like for the other person to also be thoughtful. Next is, which of these negative adjectives best applies to you? Still does not make any sense with this quiz, but I think I end up picking distracted because I am a very distracted person. Next is to choose a musician. Another question I had a hard time with because there wasn't anyone that I knew of from Pennsylvania, but I think I end up picking Bon Iver. Don't really know why, but I just did. Names would you choose for a baby? I ended up picking Jacob, but also confused why that's a question, but I guess I just shouldn't really test the logic of BuzzFeed quizzes. Like, this whole time in my face, you can just tell, like, what I'm like, what the hell? This is to choose a movie quote. I ended up picking The Goonies, my second favorite movie, the first being The Sandlot. I don't know if The Goonies is set in Pennsylvania, but it is pretty popular in Pennsylvania. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I just know people that like it. Next is to choose an actor. I actually ended up picking Will Smith. He's the closest I can think of to Pennsylvania because he was in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Next is, what's your party anthem? And here I say, what are parties? Have not been to one in a very long time. I think I ended up picking Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. That's like a classic party song. Which of these pictures is the most appealing? None of these really screamed PA for me, so I think I just ended up picking the waterfall because that was the most appealing to me. PA is pretty grassy. There we go. I win. I ended up getting Pennsylvania, and the description is so wrong. It says you are the most extroverted of your friends, which is completely false. Next is, I know it seems impossible, but we can accurately guess which state you live in. With just 3 questions, it was wrong because it only gives me 4 options that are not even a fruit. The one is not even a fruit, so I end up going with the Big Apple because that's the closest to PA, and I think that this might be the only one that I did not actually get my state for because it was impossible to get. And here I am saying that barbecue is not a fruit. It is not a fruit at all, so why even put it? Next is, what's your favorite kind of hot weather? I was saying that I don't really like hot weather, so I just ended up going with hot because they didn't give me any other options or any good options. Lastly, which of the following is your favorite bird? And I went with pigeon just because that is closest to PA, and I say that my favorite band, The Wonder Years, their mascot is Hank the Pigeon, and they're from Philly. I ended up getting New York, which is pretty close. Like, I mean, it's not too far from Pennsylvania, and it would be impossible for me to have gotten Pennsylvania on this quiz. Next is, can we guess the state you live in based on your restaurant choices? First is to pick a pre-meal snack. Remember going out to dinner and eating like I chose On the Border just because that is the closest to me and that is what I associate with Pennsylvania. The other ones I really haven't been to, but I also say that I love the Cheesecake Factory. Their bread is so good, but so is Outback's. I just miss like going out to places. Pick an image that's most familiar to you. This one I was thinking more about Pennsylvania. I live in the suburbs, but none of these really like shout Pennsylvania to me. So I don't know which one I pick. I think I actually end up picking the houses one, but that one felt more like California, so maybe I actually end up picking the road. So pick an appetizer. I absolutely went with the bloomin' onion, and it just makes me miss going out to dinner. I love the bloomin' onion. It's definitely something I would like to be able to make myself. Fast food restaurant. None of these were really ones that are in PA, so I end up going with Shake Shack because that's the only one that I know of, and we do not go to Chick-fil-A because I don't like them. Next is the pick an all-you-can-eat deal, and I think I end up going with Fridays just because that's just the one that I know most of. We had a Steak and Shake, but it ended up closing, so the only one was Fridays that I could think of. Which restaurant is your least favorite? I have been to like the majority of these except Cheddar's and Red Lobster, so I end up picking Red Lobster because I've really just never been there. And next is to pick a dessert, and I ended up going with the brownie because the Friday's brownie is so good. Look, there I am, just saying it's so good. Definitely miss it. The Fridays near me closed. I think that they might have went bankrupt, so what's your breakfast meal of choice when you eat out? I really do not go out to breakfast at all, so I just ended up going with McDonald's because they have a pretty good breakfast. Choose a restaurant's frozen product. Out of these, the one that I recently tried was Red Robin, and their onion rings, I thought they were pretty good, so I choose that one. And next is select the restaurant you're most familiar with, and I think this is the last question, and I end up going with Five Guys. That's my favorite. I love it there. Select a food item to share. I think this is the last one. I ended up going with pizza because that's the only one that I would share. They didn't really give many options that I could think of or ones that really resonated with me, so I chose pizza. Nope, it's literally still not the last one. A post-meal activity. Um, I'm like, I don't remember things like look at my facial expression, so funny. Um, Going home and going to bed is my first option. I'm like, I can't remember a time when I have been out, and look at that. I indeed live in Pennsylvania, and there we go. I am just the king. Oh, okay. That's it. Goodbye. Hello, it is March 24th, and I have made the decision to DNF The Lovely Bones at 20%. I'm really not having a fun reading experience. I don't feel like I need to finish it. It is a very gruesome book about a girl who is raped and murdered. There's a lot of racist undertones while I'm reading the book. It is set in the 70s. It is also a very Christian-based book. And I did read it when I went to Catholic school. I went to Catholic school from 1st to 9th grade. And it just doesn't feel like a productive decision to just continue reading the book because I would rather read Such a Fun Age. So I am just going to talk a little bit about what I don't like about the book and then get it out of my mind and not read it ever again. There are so many instances that just make me uncomfortable when she's talking about the race and ethnicity of the characters. They're trying to gather suspects to figure out who murdered Susie. They go first with this boy from school, and he has had a crush on her, and that does not go very well. So they immediately target a person of color, and then the author describes his mother as beautiful and exotic. And to bring it home, she creates a fake indigenous tribe During a scene with the murderer, she creates a fake indigenous tribe as he is putting up tents for that tribe. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. I was so angry about that. So I am just gonna DNF it. Like, I don't think that I am getting anything out of this book. It is not productive, and I would rather read Such a Fun Age. So that's what I'm going to do. Here is Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid. This was recommended on a blog, and the author lives in Philadelphia. I actually put up an Instagram picture, and I put all of the books that I have that have authors from Pennsylvania or are living in Pennsylvania, or the book is set in Pennsylvania, and I said, what do these books all have in common? No one has guessed anything yet. I was surprised how many books I had. I did a Photoshop job within the dream house because I don't own it, so I just put the cover over my copy of Mexican Gothic, and I think it turned out really good. I was surprised how many authors I actually had from Pennsylvania, but I am so excited to read this. It has been all of the hype on BookTube lately, and it is about a Black woman and her living in a predominantly white area and dealing with performative activism. I'm so excited to read this, so I'm going to spend the day reading. I have a little clip that I need to film for the Patreon video that I am filming currently that is going to go up in a couple parts on my Patreon. Become a paperback pal for only $1 if you would like to see more exclusive content. You can become a paperback pal for only $1 on my Patreon. I give exclusive videos and I post my monthly wrap-ups there. We also have a Discord, so if you would like to become a paperback pal, the link is always down below, and I can also put it in the cards above. And that's it. Let me go and do all of that and then get started with Such a Fun Age.
One week later.
Hello, it is April 2nd, and I have finished this vlog, sort of. Hello, it is April 2nd. I have finished Such a Fun Age. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. And what I loved most about it was that it was set in Philadelphia. It is really rare for me to read a book that is set in Philly. She did such a good job just putting the setting together. There were so many references of Philly that I felt like I was walking around with Amira, and I just loved this so much. And it made me think about why I'm not writing a story in Philly. Most of my books are set in like a suburban area of Pennsylvania, so maybe my college book that I'm going to write will be set there. Amira also is a graduate from the school that I graduated from. I graduated from Temple University, and Amira also is a graduate from Temple. This book is set in 2015 and 2016, and it was just so cool to see a character that graduated from Temple and just her talking about the experience and just having this setting that I am so familiar with represented was awesome. Kiley is from Philly. This was her debut novel. It was an excellent debut novel. Her world building and imagery are very strong, and I felt like I was walking around Philly with Amira, and it did help that I know most of the places she was talking about. If we weren't in a pandemic, I would have been able to go to the places she went to, and this vlog would have been a little bit better, but I am just working with what I have. I'll link down below to Black-owned bookstores that I really enjoy, so if you do want to buy this book or any other books, definitely go to their bookshop links down below and support them. It is Harriet's Bookshop and Uncle Bobby's bookstore. I have not been able to go there in person yet, but I can't wait to. I was too far away from them when I lived in the city, so once the pandemic's over, I'll go in person and see them, but for now you can order online. I really enjoy them. It's a great service, and I love supporting Black-owned bookstores. This book is about a girl named Amira who is in her 20s. She is 25 and she turns 26, and I loved that. I'm 26 and I don't read a lot of characters that are my age. I really enjoyed her character because she talks about being in her 20s. She is struggling with being off her parents' health insurance and talks about how hard it is to get a job out of college, and especially being a Black woman, how it makes it a lot harder. This book heavily focuses on racism, performative activism, and a white woman centering herself in a Black woman's life. I enjoyed this book. It was a great debut. I really enjoy the character of Briar. She is the 3-year-old who Amira is babysitting, and she gets infatuated with her and really loves her and shows her the care that her mother's not giving her. Her mother is very let's see. Her character made me so angry, and she was very well written. I was so angry reading her character because she was still hung up on a boyfriend she had when she was a senior in high school who ruined her life, she says. And I was so angry because I was just like, lady, you're 30 years old. For the purpose of the story, those characters need to have this story arc. But I was so angry because I was like, why do you care about something that happened when you were a senior in high school? I am very much out of high school, and I could not even think about what happened when I was a senior in high school. I don't think about it at all. I hope that when I'm 30, I'm not thinking about that. But her character really infuriated me because she was ableist toward her child, and she just wanted to have like a perfect, quiet baby, and it was so annoying, and I felt for Briar so much. But this was a fantastic debut. I will be linking some reviews down below by Black creators. The Unfriendly Black Hotties book club has a live stream, which I'll link down below, as well as other reviews. I loved this. It was great, and it just had such a good depiction of Philly. Every time she just added some things. For instance, a woman in the grocery store was wearing a Penn State shirt, and I was just like, of course, this is the type of person that is going to start this dialogue and be worried that a Black woman is with a white child. And this is something that happens a lot for biracial families and interracial families, and it was a heartbreaking story, but I really enjoyed it. It was very well written, very well done. She did a great job with creating her characters. It was really crucial for the book of where they were from. The man who fetishizes Black women is from Allentown, and it made me laugh because I was like, of course he is. That doesn't surprise me. Even though it's sad that that was what was happening to her, it just shows how much detail she put into this book, and I thought it was a really great debut. I'm hoping to see more from her. So let's do a quick wrap up and then I'll end this video. First, I read Fun Home by Alison Bechdel, which I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. I DNF'd The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold at 20%, and I gave a 4 out of 5 stars to Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid. So that's it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you haven't. Thank you all for watching. I hope you're having a great day and staying safe, and I will see you next time. Bye.